Madaling kasi ano yun is siya ba sabihin ko kung ano sa akin. Siya mo sa susunod.
So, hey, morning, everyone. So, all of you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for coming here. It's me. I know it's 11:30, that is lunch, kan? And then we're going to talk about stress lagi. So, I hope, whatever it is, I hope this is not a stressful session for all of you. Let's make this fun, engaging, and
Sure.
so before that, I first want to thank Sensei, who is not here, and also his team from AIM for having me. Such a pleasure to be here. Now, before I begin, I have some questions I want to ask. Anyone here have felt stressed before? Majority.
Yes, sir.
Expect all like a. Have anyone here has never felt stressed before?
I'm not sure never. I have never.
Okay, here we probably have okay. Yeah, we have one probably, but yeah, probably all of us have felt stressed before. So, any one of you here have felt stressed about being stressed?
Felt stressed about getting stressed. It's crazy.
You don't stress. So you stress about you don't believe it about. And then you try to overcome it, you try to with your stress, but then somehow you fail. Right? So we become stressful. So our topic today, stress less, achieve more through mindfulness for improved food productivity, mental clarity, and overall well-being. Right? So this topic about stress is very common. All of us have felt stressed before, right? Normally, when it comes to this topic, this we don't think about this topic when everything in our life is going right. If everything in our life semua okay, kita takkan fikir about topik ni. This is the last thing that we think. We will only think about this topic when we are stressed. For example, if we go to work, we ask our friend, how are you? I don't know, very stressful. Stress about what? Stress about work lah. You know, my boss keep on giving me so many work, so many deadlines. And like, after I go home, he keep texting me. I think I'm a robot, is it? I've got husband, I've got children, I've got cats, dogs to take care of. So these are the things that we usually encounter, right? So stress is a very common thing of so population in large. In fact, stress is also something that I have experienced before, especially during my time as a doctor in hospital. So my name is Dr. Crystal Asong. You can call me, just call me Crystal. If you find my name very hard to remember, ingat. Tengok muka I, ingat bagus. That's it. Okay, anyway. So my name is Dr. Crystal. You can see here, this is me working in Hospital Serdang. I think not far from here, very near. So Hospital Serdang is famous for heart disease or cardiovascular disease. Seperti jantung ke, darah tinggi, to some extent, bleeding in brain, stroke macam tu, will go here. Right, Hospital Serdang. So Hospital Serdang is a really huge hospital. Right, if you go there, you can see doctors running around trying to get work done, shouting at instruments. You can see doctors trying to key in documents, settle apa semua. So it's very, very chaotic. So it's not surprise why, ironically, it's also a very stressful environment. And working there, when during first few months working in the hospital, I was very excited. The junior doctor, excited feeling baru masuk hospital. But then after a few months, I started to experience a severe burnout. Right? I think you've probably heard stories about doctors before, right? When we doing doctors working in hospitals, normally people will work 9 to 5. But us, kita terbalik, 5 to 9. Right? So we go to the hospital at 5 a.m. when the sun is not yet up, and then we come home from work when the sun is already down. So we don't see daylight basically. Right? And then, so yeah, so I was, then we work every day for 6 days a week, only 1 day off. 1 day off one just to sleep because we've been so sleep deprived the week before. And so I was very burnt out, really stressed. And then I was questioning, what am I doing? Where am I going to do this? And then it started, my work performance started to deteriorate, and then my bosses started to question, kenapa sibuk sangat? Kenapa buat ni, macam ni? I started making mistakes. And then, but when you're so tired and so burnt out, you just don't have the mental capacity or even the energy to even care or deal with all of these things, right? You just have no, you're just so exhausted. So I knew at that time I needed help, right? And so after one day after my night shift, I remember this time very clearly. I went to Mid Valley. I went to MPH. And then I was trying to look for books to help me overcome, whatever that I was dealing with. Because I like to read, so most of the things that I learn or how I gain information, inspiration is from books. Then lo and behold, oh yeah, so this is a picture of me, being stressed out, being tired. You can see my iPad. So then lo and behold, I stumbled upon this book, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. Heard of Jay Shetty? Right? He's quite famous, right? The YouTuber caster. So he was previously a monk in India for about 3 years before he became some social media influencer. So I stumbled upon his book because I knew him, I watched him before, and then his face it just sparked something within me. So I bought the book, and from this book was the first time uh, that I learned this term mindfulness. That I even heard of the word mindfulness. So I started practicing it, which we will do in a bit. So I started practicing it and started learning more about it. And then I also started to do some self-reflection, journaling. And surprisingly, my work performance improved. I started to think more clearly. The way I relate to my struggle and also the struggles of my colleagues also started to change, right? And even my bosses, they were also, they started, complimenting me, praising me for the work ethic. So I saw how much of my friends is and being able to manage stress is. So I started teaching it to my friends, family. I started learning more about it. I got certification in, mindfulness-based stress reduction. I went to retreats. I conducted workshops, meditations and stuff. So this has been very, very helpful for me. And I hope in this session, even though it's just a 1 hour session, I hope you will also benefit from this session as well. All right. So everyone good?
Yeah.
Okay. So just a few learning objectives. We will learn first is recover what is stress. Because we hear this word all the time, right? It's like a buzzword. We throw this word like very carelessly, I'm stressed, really stressed, it's what stress. But what actually is stress? Do we even know what it means? Right? Okay, so that we will cover. And then what causes stress? Right? We probably have some ideas about what causes the stress. It could be something outside of us, like work, or it could be due to your spouse, your kids, or whatever, right? So we'll cover what causes stress, and then lastly we'll also learn how do we stress. Okay? So instead of me babbling about what is stress, what causes stress, what to do, I want you to experience stress yourself right now. Okay, I know all of you have experienced it before, but for this experiment, let's experience stress. And this experiment is called the dominoes experiment. Okay, so basically, how this experiment work is, so we have a few people here. I assume all of you will participate. Okay, so I will divide you into two groups. So maybe I make half. Okay, one group here, another group there. Okay, so I will. So if you can see here, this basket here is a basket full of dominoes. It's not the Domino's pizza. This is like the real Domino's with spots. Okay. So this is Domino's. So all of you have played Domino's. You probably have an idea of how it is. So okay, I will divide into two groups. One and also group two. Okay. So I will put Domino's here. We have put a chair here and Domino's here. And then each person from one group has to run here, pick one dominoes, and has to put it on the table like this. Okay, let's put one on the table. And then once you put it on the table, and then the next person from the team ambil lagi dominoes and then put it on the table like this. Okay, so this game will last for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So the team yang can make the longest one without falling akan menang. Okay, will win. Alright, so 2 minutes. So I will put it here. Faham kan? So dia one person tau. Dia tak boleh semua sekali. So after one person ambil and then put, only then the next person pick up. Alright? Sounds simple kan? Just simple lah, but there's a catch. Okay? So that's a catch. In each team, I want you to pick this one person called a saboteur. Saboteur. French word lah. But basically maksudnya orang ni akan sabotage the other team.
Oh,
Okay, so pick one person from one team. So the last 30 seconds of the game, there will be a countdown. I will make a countdown. Last 30 seconds of the game, the saboteur akan try to go to the other team and then try to blow the dominoes so that they jatuh. Okay, they blow macam ni. Dia jatuh macam ni. Kan? And then the other team, saboteur from this team akan do the same for this team. The last 30 seconds je. And in your team, you have to prevent the saboteur from doing that. So you as a team, you have to work together to block the saboteur. Okay? And then your team ni kena block dia. Alright? Boleh kan? So I divide macam ni and macam ni. So from here, this is team 2 lah. Team 2 and ni from here is team 1. Okay? So you can pick who wants to be the saboteur. Then we can start. Your team line it up here. Okay, your team line it up here. And then this team you can line up here. So you try to the saboteur. So saboteur team ni. One.
Ada sila. Encik kan. Saya boleh laju ah. Sini saya boleh. Arif.
Okay, so you check. Jadi saboteur. Okay. Ready? So ready ke? Everyone can stand up now. I'll make the countdown. Okay.
So one by one lah.
One by one.
Dia berlari sana, dia letak, lepas tu dia patah balik, baru seorang boleh keluar.
Yes. So anyone random lah. So last 30 seconds and then baru you try to jatuhkan. Okay, ready?
Soalan. Okay. The domino tu how we arrange tu depend on our creativity lah nak dapat panjang macam mana. Is it?
Yang penting mana siapa paling panjang and tak jatuh.
Okay.
Oh, ada sesi ya.
Ready ya? Okay. 2 minutes. Start now. And
Sini.
Ini ada dua nanti. Oke. Oke, ikut ya. Oke lah, ini panjang sikit lah. Stres. Dah stres. Good job, everyone. Right, dah slow dah. Saya ingat sih nak slow. Sampai besar ni dah tahu saya begitu ada. Dah lah. Anyone wants to share how they feel during the game? Okay, one strength, adrenaline. Okay. Anyone who wants to share how they feel in their? Anyone notice how their body feels while playing the game?
Increase.
Okay, you dapat rasa your heart rate increase. Okay, satu. Anyone else want to share? Sorry. So adrenaline, laju. Anyone else? Tense. Muscle feels tense kan? So these are some of the physical, we call physical symptoms physical manifestations that we feel in our body when we are stressed. Satu, we can feel heart rate increasing. Our muscle becomes more tense. Our breathing rate pun makin laju. Kan? Our mind, so you can feel if you're aware, you start to feel you're focused on satu je. Benda lain you tak fikir pun, macam you focus satu je. Kan? So those are some of the symptoms that we experience when we are stressed, right? What do you think is the purpose of this game? So we're not playing this game for fun, guys. So why do you think? Yeah. So this correct to see how the body reacts when stress comes. Or in other words, this game actually is to help you. It's a simulation of stress. So what does simulation mean? Simulation means it is something that is not real. It's something made up, kan? Right? Kita buat je. It's not like we are being chased by a tiger in the middle of the jungle. But whether it is made up, whether it's real, ataupun whether we are being chased by a tiger or whether we are just playing this dominoes experiment, our body still reacts. Whether we kena kejar tiger ke, or someone tries to stab us or rob us, ataupun just sitting at work thinking about our boss. What the same body physical reaction happens in us. Now heart rate still increase, breathing rate still increase, our adrenaline, all the hormones also increase. Right? So let's just go into detail what happens in the body when we are stressed. When you were playing the game just now, what was your body expressing? Okay, so first is individual encounters an event that is seen as a threat. So threatening, we can divide it into two. Threatening, it can be a real threat, Real threat maksudnya life threatening lah. Someone tries to stab you, try to rob you. Or it could be just a perceived threat. You perceive something, maybe not consciously, but subconsciously you perceive something as threatening, right? For example, bos panggil ke office. You rasa something. What do you do? So this perceived threat. It's not going to kill you, it's not life threatening, but still your body sees it as a threat, right? So now what happens after that? So it goes to your brain, sends signal to your brain, and then it will activate this thing called the fight and flight response, right? So the fight and flight response is there is our stress response, basically. So it will activate the stress response in your body. And then after that, these hormones will be released. So these are your stress hormones, your adrenaline, noradrenaline, and cortisol. So this is the stress hormone cocktail, kan, all three of these. So once it is released, some things in the body happen. First, your heart rate increase, and then blood vessels constrict. Blood vessels is your saluran darah tu lah, they can constrict. Why do you think this happens? Why when you're stressed, your heart
Tidak.
Mm-hmm.
Oxygen.
Yeah, bertindak, there's more to muscle lah. Yeah, and then oxygen is not oxygen. Yes. So heart rate increase, blood vessel constrict, so that there's more oxygen to the brain. Because in your blood there is oxygen in your blood. So you want more blood to the brain, right? And then next one is your breathing to increase. Why do you breathe faster when you're stressed? Also the same thing, so oxygen. So you're taking more oxygen, so the more oxygen goes to the brain, right? Why is it so important it goes to the brain?
To think.
So that you can think,
Yeah.
right? So that you can think rapidly, think fast in order to survive, right? Imagine if a tiger suddenly comes to you, right? Then you don't have enough energy or enough oxygen to think what to do, right? So that's why it's very important for the oxygen to go to the brain. Then another one is glucose is released for energy. So glucose is released from your liver. Your liver is here like your hati, liver jantung, hati is the liver, right? So glucose is released for energy so that you can run away from the trap. And also that's why when all of these things, right, your heart rate increase, blood vessel increase, when these two happens for a very, very long time, as in the case of a lot of people, unfortunately, right, when we experience stress, it doesn't have to be, we don't have to be chased by that. We go to work stress, we balik rumah pun stress. Imagine feeling stressed every day, over and over again, and your body experiences this, right? So if this thing happen, for a very prolonged time, that's why people have cases like, like heart attack, like stroke, right, or hypertension, darah tinggi semua tu, because of this heart rate increase, the vessel will constrict, so your body pun dah tak tahan. That's why you have all of these things. So glucose pun release for energy, but if glucose is released for energy often, too many times, so that's why you have cases like diabetes, hypertension. Glucose is always released for energy, but we don't do anything. We're just sitting down. We're not running away from anything. Yeah. So another one is muscles contract. So then you can run away from the trap, right? But if muscle contract for a very long time, that's why we feel muscle sore. Kita rasa macam sengal, sedih, or whatever. Yeah. So your neck feels sore, your knee feels sore, all feel sore, right? Your muscle contract. And then another one is blood flow is diverted from non-essential body area to the muscles and brain. So there's this thing in the body called non-essential body area. All the body is essential. But when we are stressed, some parts of the body that can shut down because it's not really important. Because if you're trying to run away from a threat, some things are not important. For example, like digestion is not really important. Trying to run away. You don't think about wanting to eat. You don't think about hunger. All you think about is survival. You just want to be alive. It's, immune system pun akan shut down. Reproduction pun akan shut down the uterus. You don't want to get pregnant and when you're trying to run away, right? That's the last thing you want to do, right? Is to get pregnant. So that's why when we are stressed, all of these things are being shut down. So digestion, for example, that's why, for example, before interview that we usually feel macam people say butterflies in our stomach. We feel macam we cannot digest our food properly, rasa bloated lah, rasa macam sakit perut lah, nak pergi tandang apa semua. Because our digestion is already weak because stress. Right? Stress, itches. Another one is immune system. So that's why kalau stress for a very long time, at the end of the day, so orang tu tiba-tiba tak datang kerja. Kenapa? Sebab sakit. Right? So ada demam, so sakit. So immune system is being stopped for a while. And then lastly is reproduction. Right? So if you're very stressed for a very long time, your reproductive function can stop for a while. Right? Because it's considered non-essential. That's why some people, like couple, right, they have problems getting pregnant, for example. So they go to the clinic, fertility clinic, and then they tanya doctor like they want to get pregnant, but they are having trouble to do that. So doctor usually nasihat, you need to take some time off from work, pergi travel ke, pergi honeymoon, pergi holiday apa semua, and then try again, come back, try again, right? Doctor selalu nasihat macam tu. Why? So that you want to relax the body, right? You want to move away yourself from stress, and then when you travel, you go on honeymoon, you rasa relax, rasa happy. So that is the best time to reproduce, and not during stress, right? So these are the things that will be stopped when you're stressed. Now, when the thread is removed, when the thread dah tak ada, the opposite will happen. So this hormone, acetylcholine hormone, will be released to counter the stress hormone. So adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol will be lowered. And then lastly, our body will also return to normal. Right? So this is basically the whole cycle of what happens in the body when we are stressed. Right? Okay, now I want you to turn to page 2 and 3 of your worksheet. Okay, so next to 2 and 3 of your worksheet is called symptoms of stress. So if you can read on the top here, it says, how frequently do you find yourself experiencing problems such as headache, difficulty going to sleep or staying asleep, unexplained muscle pain, jaw pain, contra anger, and frustration? Using the table below, assess the frequency that you experience these common symptoms. Right? So basically, this table is a list of stress symptoms. Okay? So stress symptoms, for example, like headache, there's a tense muscle, there's a fatigue, anxiety, difficulty sleeping. These are all symptoms of stress. Because most of the time, we let the stress, when we have all these symptoms, we are not aware. Right? Kita tak sedar. Instead of stopping, taking a pause to rest, we work harder. We take on more projects. Right? We ignore whatever, pain, sickness, whatever we feel, until suddenly something happens. Or like, touch wood until a huge medical condition happens, right? So we don't want that to happen. So in order to prevent that, we want to first be aware of all the symptoms, the stress symptoms that we may experience, right? So this table is a list of the stress symptoms, and then I want you to take based on how frequent do you experience all of this. Whether is it almost all day, every day, once or twice daily? Is it every night or every day? 2 to 3 times a week? Is it once a week, once a month, or never? All right. So I think I will give you 5 minutes to do this. Okay.
Everything. Kristen, I have a question.
Yes.
If we have sore muscles because of working out, does it count?
Working out is
It's not considered as well.
You never know you stress me.
What does it mean by fatigue? Fatigue maksudnya macam
Fatigue macam tak fatigue is exhausted. Really tired.
really tired.
Fatigue, energy,
Macam
tired.
macam tak bangun.
Could be that. Or sometimes, you know, you just rasa lemah, tak ada tenaga.
Oh,
anything.
lesu lah, lesu. Sama sekali tak ada.
Irritability, macam pemarah.
Karen.
You're irritated.
So Karen.
Macam I think so. Macam you cepat marah lah. Bila sikit pun you macam nak berhenti.
Oh, okay.
You know, macam crying.
Meninggal. Betul lah.
That's good. I see. Yeah, so they can maybe tricky to manage that. It's a bit hard lah when you cannot really control the environment. So environment plays a very huge role in how you, in your well-being in general. So well-being and environment is quite you talk about maintain. It's a bit tough lah. Not only environment or it's also just to be aware that at least you're aware. Could be, yeah. Macam dia balance not balance, not safe. Yeah, let's go. Let's try to feel. Yeah, so when it's time when it's self-awareness, consciousness. Something is not
Difference between insomnia and difficulty of sleep.
it's falling asleep.
Oh,
Insomnia is you just cannot sleep.
falling asleep.
Some people take time.
But
There's something.
insomnia falling asleep.
All right. Think can we move on to the next one? Okay, so what do you think with your assessment? Okay. Anyone wants to share? What do they think? Anything that they have just any new insight that they have just discovered by doing the assessment? Ke memang dah tahu dah. Kan? So most people kita tak sedar tau. We have some of these symptoms, headache, muscle pain. So the point of this exercise is to create self, so that before something happens, like medical condition that we don't want to happen, we have to be aware first, so that we can take the necessary steps to prevent it. Right? Okay. So now, common sources of stress. Anyone? What do you think are some of the common sources of stress? Sorry.
Money.
Money, okay, financial is one of them. Yeah.
Expectation.
Sorry. Parenting is one of them.
Expectation.
Expectation from
Boss.
from spouse, also maybe from your kid pun boleh juga kan. So expectation. See, anyone else? Work environment.
Life.
Life. Life is a source of stress, unfortunately. But right? Yeah, so these are some of the examples of stress, right? But what do you think is the number one most dangerous source of stress? All of these are sources of stress, like work, expectation, life. But there is one type of stress that kills more people than all of this. What do you think? Sorry?
Ourselves.
Ourselves. What do you can you elaborate? What do you mean by that?
I think self-criticism.
Okay.
Life.
Ourselves. So ourselves. Stress. Right? It's not so much about what is happening on the outside. The biggest source of stress that kills most people, kills a lot of people, it's internal stress that we feel inside. So what is internal stress? So it could be self-criticism and negative self-talk, past trauma. As a result of past trauma, you jump bawah when you become adult. And you start to question your sense of self-worth, you don't feel good enough, you start worrying about the past, anxious about the future. So all of this is internal stress, and this is the most dangerous stress because our brain, it doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is not real. Whether we imagine we can imagine looking at a lemon. If I ask you to imagine looking at a lemon, and then I want you to imagine cutting the lemon and smelling the lemon and try to taste the lemon. It feels real then. Like you can feel masa-masa already. Like your saliva pun start to accumulate. So it's real. So your brain doesn't know whether you're looking at a real lemon or you're just looking at it in your brain, right? Doesn't know whether it's real or whether it's not, right? So internal stress, something that we need to watch out, right? Internal stress. So we know that human beings experience internal stress. How about animals? Do you think they think about whether they're good enough? Negative self-talk. They worry about what you just said to them. Thank you. Do you think animals do that? No, right? So why is this? What can we do with our minds that animals cannot? What makes us the extra gifts, extra powers, compared to animals when it comes to our brain? So you want to elaborate?
We do good and bad. That's all.
Yeah, that is one of them. Anyone else? Belief system is one. Yeah, but what can we do with our minds that animals cannot, that causes us stress? So there are two things. I mean, animals have emotions
Yes.
to some extent. So there are two things. Already? Sorry?
Accountability.
We keep improving. Animals live in pattern, but we keep improving. if we choose to improve. Not everyone. But unfortunately, a lot of people, they also live in balance. Right? They live life on autopilot if they don't want to change. Right? Macam tu je gitu orang, like, the cycles. Right? So there are two things. Ready to learn?
Yeah.
Okay. Imagination and memory. So our ability as human beings to imagine, imagine the future, imagine past, or imagine the future, or memory, as in like being able to remember what happened. These two things. Animals cannot do this. The animals, they only live based on their primitive survival instinct. All the thing is, when will I get the next meal?
Oh,
And when do I sleep? Where do I sleep? That's it. And reproduction. That's it. Right? But because of our ability to imagine and can remember, this is what gives us an edge. But unfortunately, these superpowers that we have is the number one factor that leads us to stress. Right? So dia macam terbalik. Okay, so now we talked about stress earlier, and I want to introduce you to another word, stress. So just now we talked about stress. What do you think the meaning of stress is? Sorry,
condition.
stress is the condition. Yes, what condition? Okay, so that is the condition as in the response, the response. So remember just now the diagram I showed, right? All of the hormones of the smooth. So stress in its most scientific term, actually, it means the hormonal response to a perceived threat, danger, or other stimuli. It's the whole process that in the body. That is what stress means. So when we say, oh, I'm stressed, it is quite true, but it's not really accurate. When we talk about stress, we're actually talking about, the whole response in the body is stress. So what is stress? Sounds similar, but they mean different. What do you think stressor means?
Condition,
Sorry.
event or condition which is contribute to stress response.
Yes. So the event or something that happens, basically, it is what triggers it, right? Whatever that triggers the stress reaction. So it could be due to work, due to someone else, due to something else, right? Those are the stresses. So now if you turn to page 1 of your worksheet, you can see so these down 3 common stresses that you experience daily, how you usually react to them, and the usual outcome as a result. Alright? So number 1 to 3, number 1 stressor. Number 2 is your reaction. Reaction meaning stressor is what causes you stress, like for example, let's say traffic jam. And the reaction means how do you usually react? Right? So when you experience traffic jam, how do you usually react? Because two people may go through the same things but have different experiences. Two people may go through the same traffic jam, or maybe even in the same car, but have two different experiences. One person may actually enjoy the traffic jam, right? Because they can listen to music. But another person, they may actually hate it or they don't enjoy it. Who does that traffic? They start listening one, right? So how do you react based on the stressor, and what is usually the outcome? Outcome meaning what usually happens after that, right? Outcome. How do you usually feel? Do you feel like it makes your day better? Does it affect everyone around you? After you react that way, right? So I think since you only have 15 more minutes left, I think for page 1, you can do it after the session, probably at home or somewhere else. So you can just reflect what are some of the things that cause you stress, how do you usually react, and what. Right? Because most of the time kita tak sedar pun, stress macam tu, and then we react, and then can change, and people around us pun affected, right? So this is just to create some awareness. Now, the third process of stress. I think. Okay. So now, just now we learned about how the body reacts. Now let's look at how does the mind react to stress. Processes goes in our brain, in our thoughts when we're stressed. Okay, as you can see here, this is a picture of a pesawat nak macam kampung lah kan. Hari tu hari raya dia ada balik. Okay, so now you dekat kampung. And then suddenly kita balik kampung, you tidur, and then you terdengar birds chirping and bunyi burung. So this is what we call stimulus, right? So after that, what happens in the brain? After stimulus, and then your brain realizes that this is sound, this is outside, right? So this is called cognition, means awareness. You know, cognize. Your brain recognizes. So after that, your brain knows, okay, this is birds chirping, not dogs barking, right? Because study this is sound, this is outside. So this is birds, dogs barking. So this is recognition. Recognition is task. Recognize what you remember from past experience, but your brain has memory. It knows, oh, sorry, this before. This is bird, this is not dog, this is not cat smell, you know, cow, bear. You from very past recognize or remember. Then lastly is how do you react? So you can choose to resist or accept, right? Whether you can choose to resist the bird chirping, macam ni, bunyi burung ni bangunkan me from tidur, or you can choose to accept and enjoy some bird chirping because you know you balik kampung is holiday, nak with my family, so this is a good thing, right? So unfortunately for a lot of people, this process from stimulus and recognition is unconscious. It's something that happens unconsciously, right? And they react unconsciously. But what we can do instead is we can choose, instead of reacting, we can choose to respond. So respond, we can make it unconscious. Okay? So between stimulus and response, there is space, and in that space, it's our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom, right? So between stimulus, in the stressor, and how we respond, there's a gap. So in that gap is our power to choose how we react, how we respond in that moment. Right? So how do we create the space between stimulus and response? How do you think we create it? How do you think we can prevent from reacting?
Take time, think.
It's actually in the title itself. Mindfulness. So that's mindfulness. Action to respond. So without mindfulness, that stimulus and immediately react. But what we want to do is with mindfulness, we want to create a space. So that's where mindfulness is. Right, so now let's just do a very, very short experiment to show what mindfulness is.
Banyak kereta. Say. Boleh banget. Ini cukup.
So one reason. So we want to experience what mindfulness is. Okay? Because I want to just answer. Yeah, makan dulu tau.
Alamak, dah. Beli set kan?
Follow instruction. Okay. Don't eat it first. Okay, jangan makan dulu. So now take one raisin, and then I want you to imagine you've never seen a raisin. Okay, imagine like okay, this thing just flew down from Mars. Okay, dia jatuh kat plate ni, so okay, then you need to place the raisin on your palm. Place on your palm, please. You don't have to look at it, you just feel it. Feel it. You just feel it. Feel the weight. Is it heavy or light? Feel the temperature. Is it cold? Is it warm? Is it hot? Cool. Can you feel it against your skin? The sticky ke? Geli kan ada kan? Can you feel macam gritty macam tu, the skin of the raisin? The skin of this thing, you don't know it's raisin. Okay, another one is next. Next is you look. So we will experience this raisin with all of our 5 senses, okay? So tadi, now we want to look. Okay, our sight. So now look at it. So look at the skin, what color it is, the texture of the outer part. Is it wrinkled? Is it not wrinkled? Okay. And then next, you see if ada any liquid coming. Okay, next I want you to touch. Okay, use index and then your thumb, just gently touch it. Okay, jangan touch dulu, just touch it and then just feel it against your finger. Kau rasa? Kan dia macam keras-keras, gritty, macam pasir-pasir ke. And maybe a bit sticky lah kan. Sticky. The next is I want you to listen to. Ada bunyi tak? Macam dia sikit. Ada tak bunyi? Bunyi loceng ke? Bunyi alarm clock ke? Ada.
Jangan masukkan telinga dulu.
Next is smell. Jangan sampai kuat sangat kan masa boleh. Jadi smell it. What smell does it remind you? Sweet, macam maybe ada floral feeling.
Good. Tuh.
Next is taste. Taste, jangan makan dulu tau. Taste is you just put it at your lips. Okay, you touch the texture, and then you put it on top of your tongue. Put it on top tongue, dapat rasa the sweetness semua tu. Then lastly, chew it. Chew it very, very soft.
Allah.
Jangan dah.
And then you need to notice in your mouth too, and how does it feel? Then bila there's nothing left to chew, only then you swallow. Most of the time, makan tak sedap.
Lebih lagi.
Later, right? So what is the purpose of this experiment? Let's right? We think this will fun.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy it. The reason is the experience.
Yeah. So we're putting a space actually, right? We're putting a space between the act of eating something and also, the idea of eating something and also the act. We're putting a space. So the same applies to our life as well, right? So before we react or before we respond to something happens, we want to put a space. So we want to be able to think, feel, really feel whatever that we are experiencing, or emotions or bodily sensation, whatever it is, feel and then think, only then we react consciously rather than unconsciously. Alright?
This one's the sweat.
What is mindful choosing? Ah, so grounding technique lah. Yeah. So basically, grounding technique is also the same, right? Like you want to create space or be mindful as we build. Right? Okay. So I think we need to skip a few parts. Okay, so mindfulness basically what it means is pay attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmental. So that's what it is. So tadi from eating the raisin, this is what you experience. Right? So you pay attention to the raisin itself. Throughout the entire 1 to 2 minutes, and you pay attention on purpose. On purpose means deliberately, on purpose. You know you're paying attention to it. The other one is in the present moment. So tadi when you were looking at the raisin, were you thinking about something in the past or were you worried about something in the future? Not really, right? Because you were focused on the raisin, you were in the present moment.
Oh.
You were paying attention to that raisin and nothing else. And lastly is non-judgmental. You need to accept whatever you experience just as it is. You don't wish it to be something else or for you to be somewhere else, right? You're just all right. So breathing exercise. So now I want to teach you one technique on how we can practice mindfulness. So I want you to all take one deep within the next 10 seconds. I want you to take one deep breath in and one deep breath out. Okay? Pay full attention to your breath for the next 10 seconds. One deep breath in, one deep done. One breath in. You realize they are more relaxed, calm. By just one breath, one deep breath in, they're more calm. You're more clear in mind, you're more relaxed. So this is the practice that you can do to cultivate mindfulness. So just breathing exercise. So you breathe in, breathe out, pay attention to your breath, around the nostril area. Whenever your mind wanders somewhere else, you try to bring it back to the breath. That's it. Right? And if you do this many, many times, this is what we call mindful breathing exercise. Right? And this is something that you can do whenever you feel stressed when you have nothing else to do in the car waiting for traffic jam. This is one of the practice that you can do. Just now we just did one inhalation by exhalation, right? But if you do this repeatedly, it's called mindful breathing exercise. Right? So I think just to wrap things up, we can do another 3 minutes. 3 minutes to do mindful breathing exercise again. Just to show you how it is, so that after this session, then you can apply on your own. All right. Okay. Yes, I will guide you through the breathing exercise. Okay, I will guide you. I will let you know. Close your eyes, set your breath, pay attention to your breath. So the next 2 to 3 minutes, I want you to just fully focus on your breath. That's it. So whenever your mind starts to think about something else, like what should I eat for lunch, what should I eat for food, just gently bring your breath back. Bring your attention back to your breath around the nostril area. All right. This is it's almost like a meditation, but we call it mindful breathing exercise. All right. So once I ring this bell, then we will start. Okay, so now just settle down. Just relax your body. Start in a bit. I invite you to kindly gently close your eyes. Just rest your hands on your lap. I invite you to just quiet and still your mind. Remove all the thoughts, all the chatter. Just make here fully present. I gently invite you to pay attention to your breath, to the air coming in and out of your nostrils. Just pay attention to the breath moving in and out of your nostrils. Be aware of the air, temperature, breath. Whenever your mind wanders, just gently bring attention back. Notice the air coming in and out of the nostrils, the throat, into your lungs. Notice the quality of breath is breathing deeply from your belly, breathing shallow from your chest. And bring your attention back to the air coming in and out of the nostrils. Just fully relaxed. Whatever thoughts arises, just observe it as it comes and moves. There's no need to change it. You're trying to get rid of it. Just observe your thoughts. Bring your attention back to your practice together. You will do this for 1 more minute. And the host ready themselves. So that's the end of our breathing exercise. This is what you can do after the session ends. You can practice wherever you are, wherever you're doing. Start cultivating mindfulness every day. Whenever you're ready, I invite you to just gently release. Some while stretching. Maybe that here is a reservoir. Okay. Alright, so that is how the mindfulness exercise is. Right. How do you feel? Calm like it. Relax. So this is something that you can do whenever you are. Just sit down, close your eyes, pay attention to your breath whenever your mind wanders and bring it back. Right? That's it. So now just to wrap things up. Just want to close off with this quote. So whatever we see every day in our outer reality is actually nothing more than a projection of our inner reality. Right? So it really doesn't matter what happens on the outside. Whether, our boss marah ke, spouse start nagging ke, or our kids doing trouble. We cannot control what happens on the outside. As much as we try to change others also, we cannot do that unless they're ready to change, right? So we can control what happens on the outside, but what we can control is what happens on the inside, what happens within, right? And that relates to stress as well. So whatever stress that is happening, stressful event that is happening on the outside, sometimes it is just beyond our control. It's not something that is within our powers to change, right? But what we can change is how we look at it. How do we perceive that event? How do we perceive that stressful situation, right? So that is the only thing that we can control or that we are in charge of. So I like this quote by Mahatma Gandhi where he says, "Be the change you want to see." He didn't say, try to change that political party or try to change the government, right? No. So change yourself. Be the change you want to see. Change yourself first, and then slowly you will create a ripple effect, and others will also benefit, right? So that's all for today. I hope it was beneficial, even though it was just a 1 hour session. I hope it's still, you get some insights and some benefits and something that you can practice in your everyday life after the session as well. All right. Thank you so much again, everyone.
Selepas ni kita nak ambil